Well, let's get started. My name is Andrew Parsons. I'm from Microsoft. I'm a senior program manager, and my job is to talk to indie game devs and figure out how Microsoft can help indie devs publish onto Windows. And so, for that reason, I spend a lot of time with the engineering department of Windows, but I also partner with the Xbox guys to help us really get a good game development story. And what that story has happened over the last few years is it's all started revolving around this concept of universal Windows platform. And so before I go any further, I just want to ask you guys a question to make sure you're listening. And I'm going to give away one of our little block men for the first answer. I'll show you a video, and then I'll ask you the question. So let's play that video.
I need to know everything they told you. Stay down!
Hopefully that woke you up. Last talk of the day. What do they all have in common? Yeah. That actually is a correct answer. He said they're all playable on both Windows and Xbox. If you'd said they were games, yes. If they said they were high-performant games, yes. The full answer is that they're all universal Windows platform games. That allows you to actually publish as a game developer on Windows and Xbox. So you had the right answer, and it's all about UWP. And UWP gaming is actually here already, and a lot of people sort of say, oh, it's only for Windows, or it's not very high performant. And you know what? That's completely not true. We've unlocked frame rates. We've made it possible to do windowed and full screen mode. We've actually unlocked the ability to actually have game mode on Windows. And of course, Xbox is there as well. And these are all the games that have been released up until April. There's more games since then. And you can see it's a range. It's not just, you know, little indies, but it's also the big guys. We have games in here that are published on both platforms. I want to highlight one, Fallout Shelter. Fallout Shelter was our first UWP game shipped on the console to show that we could actually do that as well. And so we'll talk about that in a minute. So if I backtrack a little and talk about UWP and where we came from, this is a really mature technology that we have. We started in 2015 when Windows 10 was first released, and straight away we started delivering UWP technology for game developers on Windows. It wasn't there for Xbox, it wasn't there for the console, but the console had already put its own first sort of step in place to make that happen by making sure the operating system itself on the console was a Windows 10 core. In 2016, last year, we actually started converging our stores. And in fact, if you put the Windows Store and the Xbox Store next to each other, you'll see they're pretty much identical. One has a dark theme, one has a light theme. Other than that, they use the same UI. They use the same XAML and other user interface elements for the consumer. And more importantly, for you guys as developers, they actually have the same backend. It's one Dev Center portal where you actually submit your game into that one place, and you can put it to all the different platforms that we have. On the Xbox, though, last year, we only allowed UWP apps to be published. And so if you wanted to publish games, you had to be in a managed program. But this year, just a couple of months ago, we actually announced the ability to publish UWP games on the Xbox, on the console, and that's through a program that I'll talk about in a second. And we've continued to do more improvement. That's where things like I was referring to, the fact that we unlocked frame rates and things like that, and the game mode, which I'll also talk about. So we're continuing to improve. We're incredibly invested in making sure UWP is a viable platform for game developers, and we're always wanting to hear back things that you might have found, issues that you think are there, so we can address them. So what does UWP do for you as a game developer? Well, let's see where it stacks up. So we first had managed developers, you know, the Activisions, the EAs, and of course our first-party developers were the only people able to publish on Xbox One. And then very soon after we released the console, we announced ID at Xbox. Is anyone in ID at Xbox today? Just a couple of you? It's a great program. It's a managed program where you sign an NDA and you get access to Xbox dev kits and the ability to publish onto the console already with the full access to the console. But we needed something more. We needed something for everyone else who wasn't in those managed programs. And so that's where we come today. And so when we look at that, we see our three sort of prongs of development. The classic Win32 game developer. You build a game, you publish it on Steam, or you're doing self-publishing on your own website, and you're doing Win32 development straight to PC. But that's kind of where you're stuck. You don't go sort of outside that realm. On the other end of the spectrum, we have the Xbox XDK, the managed programs. They have the full access to the console hardware. They have the full access to Xbox Live and all the things that come with that. And they can publish into the Xbox store. But the only way to get into sort of both is through, you know, these other programs. UWP gives you the ability to publish directly to the Windows Store, which gives you access to having games on PCs and tablets and, you know, all our mixed reality headsets. ID at Xbox allows you to do the same thing, but also publish into the Xbox Store. But we have that missing piece, right? The ability to have all of you guys be able to publish to Xbox. So how do we do that? We do that with the Xbox Live Creators Program. Now, the Creators Program is an open program, and it allows any developer to build an Xbox Live-enabled game for both Windows and Xbox. I want to highlight two pieces of that right now. The first one, this allows you to actually use Xbox Live in a Windows game. Any developer can use some of the Xbox Live stack in their game, and I'll tell you about what it is in a minute. The other facet in this little statement, one simple statement, is that it means any developer can now publish a game on Xbox One. It uses the standard Windows Store policies. There's no extra policies, no extra certification. Anything that you can do with an app or a game right now, you can do in the Xbox Live Creators Program. It just uses the standard stuff. There's no extra stuff. You just put it in there. There's no licensing. It's actually completely free and open. If you have a Dev Center account, you can use Xbox Live Creators Program to publish today on Windows Store and Xbox One with Xbox Live services. It's super easy to configure. It's just API calls. We actually have a lot of it up on GitHub and stuff, so you can actually download and see how the APIs work. And it's a completely open program in the sense that you can publish when you're ready. With our managed programs, we actually control publishing schedules and pricing schedules and making sure that everything sort of aligns in a really nice sort of campaign of the full year and everything. But with Creators Program, it's completely up to you. If you want to update your game every day, do it. If you want to change your price every day, do it. This is really up to you, and you can publish when you're ready. You can publish a preview or an alpha build of your game and market as that. And it gives you this right-sized feature set of Xbox Live. It doesn't give you all of Xbox Live. It gives you most of it, and I'll show you what that is in a minute. So why is this important? Well, the reason why Xbox Live Creators Program was created for you guys was for three things, to give you access to Xbox Live, and here are some of the benefits of that. When we think about reach to your customers, to your gamers that you want to actually engage with, we have sort of a bunch of facets, but the four sort of features I want to sort of identify here. The first one is identity and basic presence. The ability for someone to be logged into their Xbox and playing your game, and all their friends see it on their feed that your game is being played, allows your game to have this reach that you wouldn't have otherwise had. I play your game for the first time. All my friends see this game that I've been playing. What is that? They can click on that link and go directly to your game in the store page and figure out oh, I want to play this game too. We also provide APIs so you can actually interrogate that and see when someone's playing your game, who of their friends list actually has played that game as well, and maybe sort of enable some connections between those. Again, encouraging people to play your game, to reach out and to talk to each other. I talked about this already. UWP allows you to actually publish that cross-platform and then a converged store experience. But it doesn't stop there. We have the community to think about as well, right? So we have Mixer. Mixer is Microsoft. It used to be called Beam. It's Microsoft's live streaming technology. And what's cool is Mixer allows you as a developer to actually jump into someone's feed that they're playing and actually interact with the watchers. You get direct feedback from the player and the watchers. But the magic part of Mixer is that it has APIs that you can embed in your game. And those APIs can allow you to interact, the game itself, interact with players and watchers. Imagine having a game where the player is fighting a boss battle over and over again, and the watchers are getting frustrated, and they vote to send in, Hunger Games style, an extra power-up. You can do that with your APIs in Mixer. Game hubs. Every game on Xbox actually has a game hub. You can theme this how you like, customize it how you like, and you can put in community news, updates, all sorts of other pieces of information, like what you did with the latest sort of map updates or whatever you want. Gives you a way to connect to your community without having to build a whole set of infrastructure because it's already there. And then similarly, we have player clubs that are actually player initiated. And we have a lot, tens of thousands of player clubs that exist already, where players have said, hey, I like this game, I want to create a community around that game. Or, I like this one aspect of a game. Let's say you've got a game that has an editor. Well, some people create clubs around the editor of a game. And then system level, we have party chat. And that's available to everyone who uses Xbox Live Creators Program as well. So you can have that party chat interface in your game as well, so you can have that sort of connection. And then the final part I want to sort of highlight for Xbox Live and using that is you get some of those Xbox Live services that are just do stuff for you that you don't have to do then. Leaderboards, statistics, analytics are all available to you as part of the Xbox Live Creators Program. The game DVR, it's a system-wide thing that allows people to actually record parts of your game, and you can programmatically instantiate that as well. Connected storage, allowing you to actually have cloud saves in your game through the Xbox Live service. That then means that players could then pick up where they left off on another console. And then all of our great accessibility work that we've been doing, text-to-speech, speech-to-text, and all those other really important facets to open up gaming for everyone. It's actually a big initiative we have at Microsoft to make sure that as many people can enjoy games as possible. And you get that ability to use all those features. So with Creators Program, Xbox Live Creators Program, you do only get a subset, as I mentioned. And this is the core part of what you get. The fact that you can sign in with a gamer tag, and people can see that, leaderboards and activity feeds, game hubs and clubs, chat, and all that other stuff I just talked about, connected storage, you get that. It's part of the free program. The other part of the free program that managed partners don't get is the fact that you can just do it as an open program and publish when you want. You go through that fast store certification process, and then that last one there, develop with a retail hardware. You can go down to your local game store and buy an Xbox One and bring it home and put it into dev mode. Just with a few simple clicks on a controller, and then you get a whole different interface. You actually get a learning interface on the front screen of the Xbox, which lets you get access to educational materials that myself and a couple other guys in the Xbox team publish up, so you can learn more about developing on the Xbox and through UWP. But you also get the ability to actually then start developing games and putting them onto the console. There are some things you don't get. These are the ones at the bottom here, and they're part of our managed program. So our first-party and third-party developers, as well as the ID at Xbox program. So the two I want to highlight there are achievements and multiplayer. So if you want online multiplayer on the console, you have to be in the ID at Xbox program. If you want achievements game score and achievements, you need to be in the ID at Xbox program. They have different reasons for why those two features and some of these others are not actually available in our free program, and I'm happy to talk to you about that afterwards. So what does that mean now with our multiple paths? Now we have that third path in the middle that allows you to create a UWP game and publish on Windows 10 Store and into the Xbox Store as well. Just some other highlights. What we've been doing for you guys through UWP just in the last 12 months. Creators Program, obviously, Xbox Play Anywhere for bigger titles that want to sort of charge a customer once and be able to play on both Windows and Xbox. You would have seen a lot of that at E3. And Xbox Live we talked about already. This is just kind of a summary of some of those things. Windows Sonic is an amazing audio technology that we built out of what we learnt with HoloLens, and how HoloLens needs its audio to be really spot on, to have that immersive, rich sound experience for when you're actually doing stuff in that sort of virtual augmented reality sort of environment. And so Windows Sonic has been built out of that, and you can actually have that benefit of that high quality, high fidelity sound through headphones and speakers, and we've partnered with Dolby to make sure that happens. We have streaming installs to allow your players to be able to get access to games, particularly larger games, faster. And then we have Mixer, which I talked about. That's something that you can use throughout your games, both for people streaming as well as you interacting with that. Game mode, I'm going to talk about in a second. And then the final thing I want to just sort of highlight is that continuous improvement. We just released a Creators Update on Windows 10 to give you even more access to some of those features. So game mode. What is game mode? It's a new Windows feature that came in sort of half-heartedly in the previous update, and then in Creators Update, it's now sort of fully featured. It allows consumers, gamers, to mark an app as a game, and then that game then gets exclusive access to the system. When it has focus, it has pretty much as much of the CPU and GPU and other bandwidth as possible, and it isolates it away from everything else. So it gives you core partitioning, so you can actually get access to some of those cores exclusively, and the GPU. And it's done in two different ways. Users can actually do it manually, right? They can actually just use Windows key G and bring up the game bar and actually say, this is a game. I actually did it to my Notepad the other day. And Notepad now performs like nothing else. But it allows you to give them that ability. But more importantly, you can actually do it as a developer. In the app manifest of your game, you can specify that this is actually a game and requires that capability of expanded resources. And what you can do with that then is you can then actually interrogate that with code. And what I've just done here is a really simple API call to see how many exclusive cores I have access to my game. I've said, hey, I want exclusive access. I want my game in game mode. How many do I have? And what I'm saying here is if I've got 3 or more cores, then I'm going to do some really fancy, high-fidelity graphics processing. But if I don't have that, if I only got 1 or 2 cores, then just do the standard graphics stuff, right? It gives you that ability as a developer to really optimize how you're going to render out your game based on what you've got. And there's quite a few other APIs you can use to actually do that as well. So all of that said, let's go to this train map one more time, and you'll see that all of those features I just talked about are all available through UWP. Now, I do want to note that some of them are available through Win32 as well. Windows Sonic, Mixer, Game Mode are all doable with just straight Win32, and if you're on the Xbox side, you can see there's quite a few of them are featured there as well. But only UWP development allows you to do all of those things, get access to all of those features, which is why it's so exciting for me to be able to share that with you guys. Just a quick final note on UWP games on Xbox. It's available through the Creators Update on the console, and that allows you to have those UWP games on there. But what's really key is the fact that it's one package, one core. And so when you build that game with the Xbox Live Creators Program APIs built in, so you're actually using Xbox Live gamer tags and stuff, you package it up and you put it into the store, it's just one package. You don't have to recompile for Windows and Xbox. It's just one thing. And then you do it all through that Dev Center, that consolidated environment interface. I do want to put a couple of highlights here. If you are building a UWP game and you're putting it onto the Xbox, you only get the app performance envelope. That means you only get, right now, today, about a quarter of the CPU and GPU on the console. It actually is still plenty, and particularly when the Xbox One X comes out, it's going to be pretty amazing as well. But as I said before, Fallout Shelter's already been built through this, and other games are coming through that show that even with only a quarter of the GPU, it's still well and truly a great experience for most games. You get the benefit of UWP things like keyboard support, which I say very quietly, but you know, you can actually use that. And there's that unified graphics stack through Direct 3D that allows you to have a consolidated sort of experience where you can optimize your graphics. I note that it says Direct 3D 11, feature level 10, because that's what Xbox has. And Direct 3D 12 obviously is available on PC, but it's just not there on the console yet. The final part in this sort of puzzle is the Windows Store. On the Windows side, we had app bundles, and we had the ability to do things like the desktop app converter. And on the Xbox side, we're now publishing UWP apps on the console and expanding out different ways of being able to buy stuff. And then we put all that together into one developer portal, one unified monetization strategy. So you can do things like having, let's say you have 3 games on the Windows Store, and 2 of them are older games that you've lost monetization for, and the third one is a brand new game. Well, you can mark the third one and say, if people own my old games, give them a 10% discount. Or you can tell people, hey, if you buy my new game, I'll give you a 30% discount on my back catalog. And you can actually just programmatically put that into the Windows Store in that portal. So it's consistent, it's unified, it's one time, you get a single payout. Some final thoughts. The development environment itself is super simple. If you want to use Xbox Live Creators Program, you want to build UWP for both Windows and Xbox, what do you need? You need a Windows 10 machine first, and the SDK there to be able to build that stuff. That actually comes as part of Visual Studio when you install it, which is the next piece. If you actually are using Unity and you're using Visual Studio as your editor, you've already got that installed. And I will say any version of Visual Studio works, so if you're using the Community Edition, you're totally up and ready. If you are going to put Xbox Live stuff in, you need the SDK and possibly the extensions as well. And then the final piece is what you're actually building with. And so you might do a vanilla DirectX C++ game, but more likely, particularly this crowd, you're probably using Unity or some other sort of middleware. And that's your development environment. And then what else do you need? Well, you probably need an Xbox One console to actually test it out. As I said, it's a retail version. The retail console is fine. And then you just need to put it in developer mode. And that's it. That's all you need to do to actually have the right development environment for actually building an Xbox Live enabled game for both Windows and Xbox. All kinds of middleware is supported by UWP, engines, physics, graphics, UI, audio, AI, all that stuff. And getting to Xbox, remember that it's x64. The console is x64 only. So Win32 doesn't actually work on the console. You have to compile and build as a 64-bit thing. Direct 3D, feature level 10. It runs on the app performance envelope on the Xbox. Don't rely on mouse input on the console, please. It's not supported. And then you hit F5. You can actually remotely deploy across your network from your PC in your Visual Studio onto your console in dev mode. And you can even do remote debugging. So you can actually be playing the game on the console, seeing what's happening on your PC in Visual Studio. And it's just as simple as setting it as a remote target and hitting F5, just like you would anything else in Visual Studio. So what do I want you to do with this information? Well, 2 things. One, I want you to do more learning around UWP. I want you to try it out. I want you to explore. And so we actually have built this game development guide that you can actually use either on the web as a full web page. It goes on for a long time, or you can download it to about a 35-page PDF. It's exactly the same information. So if you prefer to print it out or have it in a colorful PDF, you can do that. Or if you just want to put it on the website, you can totally use that as well. And that walks you through from end to end, from concepting and prototyping all the way through to publishing and post-publishing and analytics and everything in between, about tools, about middleware, about programs and services like DirectX and Creators Program and Xbox Live. They're all there. dev.windows.com is the #1 place to go for anything around Microsoft development. From there, you will be able to actually get access to all of this stuff, but everything else as well. App development, cloud development, web stuff, it's all there. Creators Program, if you want to sign up, as I said, it's an open program, it's free. So just that URL, aka.ms/xblcp, is your starting point for that. I wanted to highlight 3 awesome talks we delivered at GDC earlier this year. They're all now up available for streaming that you can actually get to. There's one that a great friend of mine actually has done as a deep dive into Creators Program, where he shows you actually some of the code he's writing to actually implement some of those APIs. Another one on game mode has a lot more technical information about how game mode works and how it optimizes the CPUs and GPUs. Nowhere near enough time for me to go through that today. And then the Windows Store talk was surprisingly awesome. Traditionally, store talks are not the most engaging one, but this one was amazing because it showed you all the different ways of monetization of things like flighting and rollouts, where you can actually just roll out your game, update to only 5% of your audience or 10% of your audience to check to see if it's going to, that bug you were trying to fix is fixed. You can do time-bound releases, so at midnight in every region your game gets released. So you can do some really interesting, exciting things, as well as that cross-promotion I referred to. So that's the things you can do to learn more and to get even more engaged with that. But the other thing I want to really sort of push to you guys today is something to make more, and that's the Dream Build Play 2017 Challenge. With our booth over here, the Microsoft booth, we took over for the Dream Build Play contest. And that's a contest we used to run. We ran it for about 5 years. We've been on hiatus for about 4, and we brought it back this year because it was time. With Creators Program available and developers, indie developers, being able to build games and publish on the Xbox as well as Windows, it was time for us to be able to bring this contest back. We have over $200,000 of cash prizes to give away, as well as other prizes we haven't announced yet with partners and some great sponsors that are actually going to be announced throughout the next 6 months. Go to dreambuildplay.com, register, and you'll get that information about the other challenges and other information. And we're giving you 6 months. So December 31st, it's a long way away, but don't leave it too long because that time sort of runs out really quick. So please consider doing that. It's a great contest. We have some really cool judges lined up to be able to judge it. And it has the scoring criteria is really focused on fun and innovation. 70% of the scoring is all around fun factor and innovation and creativity. And then the other 30% is all about things like technical quality and the business side of things. So that's it for me. I hope that gave you a bit of an overview of what we're doing and where we've been with UWP and both Windows and Xbox development. Feel free to come and speak to me. I'm going to be at the booth for the rest of the day. And thanks for coming.